Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about a couple ways to smooth out the action on a WASR 1063, which is an AK-47 variant. This specific one was imported from Century International Arms, and it's a Romanian version. Now the first area is, you can kind of see it's in this area here on your dust cover. When you pull back your charging handle, it tends to kind of rub a little bit. So the easiest way you can smooth that out is you pop your dust cover off, and there's this area here between my two fingers that usually isn't milled out enough. So what you can do is take a Dremel or a grinding wheel on an angle grinder, grind that out a little bit. What I did with mine is I had the piece on the rifle itself, and I took a Sharpie marker and marked where it was hitting and how much I had to ground off, and as soon as the Sharpie was ground off, I knew it was fine. You could polish that up and kind of get all the burrs off, and then it works a lot better. The second area of a lot of resistance that you get, because the whole thing you're trying to do here is get rid of friction, is your bolt carrier. That all slides out. You can look, there's a couple areas on your bolt carrier. Right here is where your the top of your trigger rides. What I did with mine is I polished this whole area here where the bolt carrier rides on the bottom, and then I put a thin layer of grease. You can't really see it that well on camera probably, but there's a thin layer of grease all along there. Another area that is a little bit more of a challenge to get to is these little rails here that my pen sinks into. What I did is I took an old credit card and stuff called Neverdull, which I'll show at the end of the video. And what you do is wrap a little chunk of that Neverdull. It's like a cotton compound with a bunch of polishing agents on it, used for polishing metals and chrome and stuff like that. I used that and kind of polished out your slides here on your bolt carrier. That gets rid of, if there's any, extra paint on there, coating, and it just kind of lubes everything up really nice. And then I oiled up the whole bolt assembly and everything like that to keep it kind of extra lubricated. Lubrication is going to be kind of key with smoothing out these WASRs, especially when you're working with someone, a version of it that's not choice, like a Chinese WASR or something like that. They're going to be really tough with the action. So if you kind of put a little bit of work into them, they're a lot smoother. One of the last areas that I've messed with, and I saw kind of an improvement after I did it, is where the bolt carrier rides on these rails here. Kind of see it rides along these rails here, and then inside there is actually where it was that little crevice on the bolt carrier. That's where that rides. Same thing as I did with the bolt carrier. I shined it up really nice with the Neverdull, and then I put a thin layer of grease. The very last area that I put in a little bit of work, you might be able to see, is here. That's the top of your trigger that it rides on. I polished that up really good, put a thin layer of grease on it. After everything was said and done, I kind of messed around with it a little bit more, and once you use your rifle more and get your action kind of moving, the smoother it's going to get and kind of work itself into the grooves, I guess you'd say. But those are the main areas that I messed with my WASR. And I kind of got lucky with it to begin with, because the action was fairly smooth when I had first got it. So that was a plus there in itself. A lot of people give bad reps to the WASRs because right out of the box, a lot of Century Arms aren't that smooth. But as you can see, I can even take just my pinky and pull back the action. And it is normal for it to catch there. It's actually supposed to be a little bit of catch so you can kind of look into the barrel. other than that, it's very, very smooth. When I first got it and tried that, I had to use my whole hand to pull it back, and it was very rough. But as you can see now, it's a little bit more smoothed out. So hopefully that helps out. Alright, like I said, I'd be showing you guys at the end of the video the Never doll that I got. You can pick it up at Walmart. I think they said at Kmart. There's a couple other stores you can get. But basically what it is, it's for polishing. It's like a cotton type compound soaked with a bunch of polishing type stuff. Smells kind of gunky, but you get like all the polishing compounds all inside that little cotton. You just basically rub it on there like you're polishing or buffing. It does take a long time using this. It doesn't take like 5 minutes and you're done. I did use a Dremel too with a polishing bit on the end, and I put some Rem oil on the polishing bit to kind of speed up the process. Once you started with the Never doll and already got some of the rubbing compound and the chemicals on there, I kind of stepped it up a little bit to the polishing bit on here. It does work a little bit faster, but you still have to put a lot of elbow grease in with your Never doll.